Is what you're working on actually changing that thing or not? If it's not, then we've got to be really careful of the path we're going down here, because then are we just adding another compensation? Hey there, welcome to episode 24 of the Golf Never Sleeps podcast. I'm Ryan Roblar. Thanks for stopping by. Today's podcast is going to be kind of based on a recent experience that I've had that really kind of highlighted something interesting for me. So I was teaching a golf lesson recently, and I've been working with this player for a few months, and they have a setup at home, and they've been working on their golf swing, but I hadn't seen them for a few weeks. And a couple of times I reached out to this player and said, hey, can you check in, send me a few videos? I just want to keep an eye on some things. And I'll preface this by saying, all my players that have access to me, I encourage them to send me videos as often as possible. I'm a huge proponent of the more times I can see your golf swing, whether it's going good or bad, the more that I can help. And I don't hear anything, right? I don't get any feedback. And this player shows up for a lesson this past weekend, and I ask him how things are going. Oh, things are going really good. I'm hitting it super solid right now. I said, fantastic. So this player starts hitting shots at the start of our lesson, and a couple swings in, we find out pretty quickly he's not hitting it that well. Ball's going out to the right quite a bit. He's unhappy with contact, kind of some one-handed finishes, kind of a little bit of moaning and groaning. And so I asked him this question. I said, why didn't you send me videos over the last couple of weeks when I asked for them? Like, kind of what was the block there? Why didn't we get that done? And he looks at me, and this is going to be the title of the podcast, because like this is something I hear happen, which I think is wild. He said, and I quote, well, I was hitting it really good, so I didn't think I had to send any videos because I thought I had it. And I paused for a second, and I looked back, and I said, kind of a smart aleck way, I said, well, do you have it right now? And he kind of goes, no, I don't. I said, well, how do you know what you had when you were hitting it good? And he kind of looks puzzled. He doesn't have an answer, but he can see where I'm going with this. And I just want to talk about this today because I feel a lot of golfers have the mindset that when they're hitting it well, they think they've got it. And it's like they don't want to mess anything up. Players love to say, you know, when I'm hitting it really good, I don't want to mess anything up. I don't want to mess with anything. The thing I tell a lot of players, and the thing that I'm going to tell you today, when you're hitting it really, really good, you should be taking more video than normal. You should be observing more than normal. You should be making notes more than normal. Because if you believe you're doing everything right and you're hitting the golf ball exactly the way that you want, I want to know everything about that environment. If you're hitting it perfectly, we should have those golf swings like recorded, printed out, framed. We need them somewhere. Because I would much rather you have a reference point of what it looks like when you're doing it really, really well, instead of when you're just hitting it poorly. Oftentimes what happens with players, they won't bother to think or to take video or to check in until they hit it poorly. But when we're hitting it really well, that's when we should be focusing on what we're doing, especially kind of try to find out what are those clues, what are we doing properly to help us hit these golf shots. So this is the way that I explain it to the player, and here's how I'm going to break it down to you. I think first things first, if you're working on your golf swing, we need feedback. Everybody knows that. I shouldn't say everybody knows that. A lot of coaches know that, and we wish more of our players knew that. But the thing that I was trying to educate my player on is let's get in a habit of taking video during practice sessions, no matter what, and send it to me no matter what. So first things first, let's get over that barrier of, I don't want to set up my tripod or whatever it is. In a few moments, you can develop a system on like, all right, I'm going to go work on my golf swing. However I record video, I have that set up. I have my phone there already. It's ready to go. And the thing that I told this player is I said, like, there's nothing wrong with you just letting the video run. We all have smartphones that have massive amounts of storage. And if you don't, clear some of your videos or the apps you don't use, different things like that, you can create enough storage to run a video for a few minutes. And what I told him, I said, I just want you to run your video for 5 minutes. And if you hit a good shot, you can just stop, like wave at the camera, or you can go stop the video and quickly trim what you need and then delete that video. So you're not clogging up a whole bunch of space on your phone. So what we did in lesson is we went through this little series, and I'm going to break it down how we did. So let's go back. He wasn't hitting it well anymore. So we went back and we talked about the things we were supposed to be working on. Top of backswing, couple different positions, couple different drills. So the first thing I said is, okay, let's just record a few videos. So he hits a few shots. We look at the videos. I go, does this look like what we talked about? He goes, no, it doesn't. It most certainly does not. I said, all right. Let's keep in mind that when you were hitting it really good, that very well could have been more luck than it was skill, but we didn't have a way to check that. Hey, I hope you're enjoying this podcast episode. If you are, I have a favor to ask. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure that you subscribe to this channel, like this video, and make sure you hit that bell to make sure you get notified on when a new episode drops. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts, please make sure you subscribe there as well. But if you could leave me a rating, wherever you're listening or watching, if you do those things for me, it really helps the podcast grow and also motivates me to put out more content. And as always, on any platform, if you ever have any questions, please reach out, let me know. I answered every comment. Now let's get you back to your episode. So here's how we're going to change that. We hit some shots, we looked at video, we go, ooh, that's definitely not what I'm looking at or what we're looking for. So I said, all right, go ahead and set up for me. We're going to hit 5 shots. But before every shot, you're going to make a backswing. You're going to hold it at the top to see if we can actually get in the position that we want before we even pull the trigger. So he set up, backswing, hold, then reset, and hit the shot. We did that 5 times. I ran the video. The video was roughly 3 minutes long. After he hits the 5th shot, he comes back and we quickly scroll and we checked the top of the backswing on all 5 shots, like in the rehearsals, and the rehearsals were all bang on. And then when we hit the actual shot, we just said like a straight pass or fail. Is it in the spot that we want? Yes or no? Lo and behold, 1 out of 5 were not in the position that we want. So in 5 minutes, we went through a drill and we found out, okay, I'm actually not getting to where I think I'm getting to when I hit a golf shot. The diagnosis was he knows how to get to that position in rehearsal. We need to exaggerate that feel more in the golf swing. So he goes back and we do another series of 5 shots. He does the rehearsal hold at the top and then hits the shot. This time something different happens. The golf ball starts to change directions of where it's starting. And before I showed him the video, I said, did the golf ball change directions? Yes or no? Like the start line. He goes, yes, absolutely. I said, do you think that you made any change in the top of your backswing? And he goes, I don't know. I said, that's why we're going through this process. So we go and we checked video again, and we checked all the stop at the tops, and we checked all the, and we checked all the golf swings. And this time 3 out of 5 were passes. And he looks at me and he says, okay, they were starting differently, but I didn't like where they went. And I kind of stopped for a second, and I'm going to dive into this for a moment. And this is why I think this feedback is important. We're looking to make a change because at the top of the backswing, his golf club is normally quite open. And then as a result, his miss, the ball goes to the right. So by the time we get top of the backswing, club face is already open. It's a compensation game after that, and it's fairly inconsistent. So we're looking to get to the top of the backswing and making sure that our club face is more neutral. Actually, to be honest, if it was a little bit on the closed side, that would be okay as well. But as we were working through this, the ball flight started to change. But what happened is the player was starting to react to the ball flight before we looked at what we're actually working on. And this happens with so many players. And we have to keep in mind the golf swing has a million moving parts, and one compensation leads to another. And the thing that I reminded him, I said, well, right now the goal is we know when that club face is open at the top, you miss right way too often. So before we start to dissect every single shot in this training environment in the month of December, let's just see, can we accomplish the task of getting to the top of the backswing with a club face that isn't laying wide open? And he sat there for a second, kind of took that in. And then we went through the process again. 5 swings, and this time 4 out of 5 were passes. And I could tell that he was really focused on the task, right? He was just really thinking, like, get the feeling at the backswing. There was a little change in our takeaway we were making, and then trying to get more upper body rotation to get that feeling at the top. And I could tell something was going on, so I just said, do it again, which was he wasn't focused with the result of the golf shot. He was focused on making the move that we wanted to make and get to that position at the top. So he hit 5 shots, we checked. He hit 5 shots, we checked. He hit 5 shots, we checked. We ended up going through 3 series of 5 shots. And out of those 15 shots, we gave him a pass on 13 of those 15. What I did afterwards is I said, describe to me the feeling that you have. And I got it on video, and he gave me a great description of, I do this, and I do that. Kind of 3 things that he had. And I said, that's fantastic. And I stopped the video, and I said, you're thinking more of the process of what we're trying to do and less about the result right now, correct? And he said, yeah, because like you said, if that club is wide open at the top, I'm going to miss right a bunch anyway. So I might as well just forget about where the ball is going and really focus on getting this club face to be more neutral at the top. And the light went off. I'm like, this is fantastic. And the thing was, we looked at those 15 shots after we went and quickly looked through all of them. Went from like the miss is usually open face heel strike to hitting it dead in the center. And the dispersion on those 15 shots was incredibly tight. And I told him, I said, so we shift our focus away instead of living and dying by every single shot. Instead, we knew what the problem was in our golf swing, and we only focused on fixing that. And I said, this process took us 30 minutes. And I said, you switched away from result and just started feeling and thinking about creating the instructions to get to the top of the backswing in a better spot. And look at the result. And he kind of looks at me and he's kind of nodding. And I said, but now you've done the easy part. And he kind of stops. I said, the hard part is doing what we just did over and over and over. I said, now you're probably going to switch to thinking about the golf ball again, and you might think that you've got it. But I said, tomorrow when you go home, assume nothing and restart. We have a clearer instruction now because we built that during the lesson. Do these 3 things, you get the club in a better spot. But I need you to do that exact same thing again tomorrow. Not worried about the ball flight, in 5-shot blocks, and come back and check. Where was that club at the top of the backswing? And as we start to get in that position that we actually want, club face can't be open, it's always open at impact. As we start to get in that position that we want, then we can see what the change is in the ball flight. Because the thing I explained to him is I said, if you're not careful, and kind of going back to this luck example, all you're going to do is get to the top of your backswing with a wide open face. And let's say you're just going to start to use more hand action to release that club to square up the face. And then you're going to look at that and say, wow, I must have got it. But behind the scenes, you're still an open club face at the top, and now you're just doing it by releasing earlier. For all we know, you're going to show up in 2 weeks with a wild left miss because you've just trained your hands to do all of the work. I hope this little story resonates with some of you in that when we're trying to make changes and when we're trying to make improvements, the ball flight at the end of the day needs to matter. But early on, if you've diagnosed your problem that presents the biggest opportunity to improve, which is what we did with this player, which he's got to get rid of that open club face at the top, is what you're working on actually changing that thing or not? If it's not, then we've got to be really careful the path we're going down here, because then are we just adding another compensation? If it is, we need to know that. And we need to have some language and some description built around how we did that. And if we have a fantastic combination where the change is changing the spot that we want, and we're starting to get a fantastic ball flight, that's when we double down on more video, more awareness, more feedback. Don't wait till you're hitting it bad. When you're hitting it good, we should be paying even more attention. So I hope that this story or this explanation helps some of you. When you're making a change, or when you work with your golf coach and my club face is open at impact, I take it too flat, those different things like that, whatever you guys have diagnosed, this is the problem. We need to have feedback on what you're doing. Is it actually changing the problem? Yes or no? If it is, great. If it isn't, something's got to change. But keep this in mind. If the change is working and if you're hitting it good, don't get lazy. Double down on more feedback, more videos, so we know the next time you're struggling, we've got to refer back, or we know what to refer back to. That's my little rant around the topic of I didn't send you any videos because I was hitting it good and I thought that I hadn't. Hopefully a learning for some of you. This is something that I have to continue to remind myself as well. But especially as we're in the off season, or even when we're outdoors, hopefully this is something you can keep in mind. Yes, creating that system to record video might seem a little annoying, but the only thing that's more annoying is wasting a lot of time when we practice and we play. I hope you enjoyed this episode. As always, please make sure you like me, you follow me, whatever it is. If you have any comments, please post them down below. If you ever have any questions, or if you want to learn about how to get some coaching from me, you can send me an email, ryan@robillardgolf.com. That's it. We'll see you next time. Happy golfing.